Now's the time to try a new ice cream, ice cream, ice cream, ice cream, ice cream.
Parasocial.
Hi, I'm Alex.
And I'm Nick.
And welcome to Ice Cream Parasocial, the podcast that talks about as many topics as there are flavors of ice cream.
Hell yeah. I'm really proud of you for not doing the Halloween one.
I know, right? Especially considering that when we're recording this, it is not Halloween. Wait. It's not past Halloween.
Yeah, it's still October.
It's still October. That's a better way of saying that.
It takes me an embarrassingly long time to edit this podcast, so...
It is just a good idea to, record stuff in advance.
Well, yeah. For sure.
But,
yeah.
In the time, that the day that this is going to come out sure is a day.
Yeah. Let's start not by talking about that. Let's fucking talk about the bullshit that you pulled last week.
What bullshit did I pull last week?
You managed to lock the keys.
Oh.
In a Prius. A keyless entry and a keyless start car.
Yeah. Cause the battery in the key fob died. And I had to fucking pull the key out of the little thing because there's a secret key. It's kind of cool, honestly. You feel like a little witch pulling the secret key out of the bigger key. And I had to go return some stuff to the library from way back in the before times, because we were just now starting to go over into the overdue limit, because the library is a blessing.
Right.
But I went to go return it and I forgot that the battery in the key was dead. And so I had, turned around to lock the car. And the car didn't lock, so I was like, dang, I have to, lock it from the inside. So I, opened the car door, and I went in, and I, hit the lock button. And as I'm doing that, I, set the keys down in the cup holder, because I'm just all right, yeah, I'm just gonna set these down while I'm doing my business here, I guess. And then I just fucking closed the car door without thinking about it. And just went up to the library and did my thing and then came back and then looked in the car window and just sort of forlornly gazed upon the keys. And I had to call him.
Oh, and...
Just be like, I did something.
Yeah.
And you were in a state.
I was pissed. Because through no fault of your own, you kept me up all night long. Because you were snoring like a fucking grandpa. And it no matter what I did to try to get you to stop, you never stopped.
Yeah.
And I had a doctor's appointment in the morning, virtual, thank God. And we were supposed to get up early. You were going to go drop stuff off at the library. And then you were going to go get us coffee. And you didn't want to get out of bed to go do all of those things.
No, definitely not.
And so I finally get you out of bed and you're like, yeah, no, I can definitely be gone and back way before your doctor's appointment starts so you can get some coffee and some snacks. And it's going to be a great morning. I'll be back in 10 minutes max.
Because for all intents and purposes, the library is very close.
It is.
It's a mile away. It's a 10-minute bus ride away.
But you fucking know.
I cursed it.
You know that every time that you're like, yeah, no, I'll be back super quick. It doesn't even matter that I get anything done. It's totally fine. I'll be back very quickly.
It's gonna be fine.
Every single time that you do that, you're back 5 hours later.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
With some sort of horror story, honestly.
I was making myself some food because I was hungry and I was wondering when you were going to get back. And then you called. You're just I don't know how. I locked the keys in the car. And I was just like,
That's
what
the exact tone of defeat
the fuck?
that I was feeling also. Just like, I don't know what I did either. Don't ask me. I don't know. I also don't want me to be doing what I am doing.
And so then, like, and everything's in my name. The insurance is in my name. The car is in my name. So I had to figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm running on like 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah. And like, didn't you have a dream where I pissed you off also?
Oh yeah, I think that was also true. No, in the dream, you had surprised me by buying a van. And you were like, we're going to go pick it up on Friday.
Oh, no.
And then I woke up and it wasn't true. And so it's like, I wasn't mad at you,
Just
but it was just like, I was just kind of like, fuck, that seemed so real. Mm-hmm. And now here I am, vanless.
With my grandpa of a husband.
With my grandpa asshole husband that didn't buy me an expensive ass car.
God off. Oh my God.
And so, yeah. And so you call me and I'm like trying to deal with it. And I'm like, I figure out that I can just set up an appointment through the app for my car insurance. And oh my God, I love them so much. Mm-hmm. And then they ended up getting to you. But while I was waiting for them to get to you, I was like doing that thing where if you've dropped out of college, you know the feeling where like every once in a while you just get a little like bug and you're like, I'm going to look into college. Like maybe I'm going to do that. And so I had looked into college and decided, never mind, like, not going to do that. And of course, now I'm again like, maybe. But that's not the point. So my doctor's appointment was at like 11:15 or something. At 11:07, I get a call from the college, and the lady is talking so slow. And I was so bamboozled because I thought that it was my doctor. Mm-hmm. And I was so like bamboozled that it wasn't my doctor. When she asked how I was like, good, and you?
Oh no.
When I was so not good. Oh, like I just went into autopilot and it was just like, I'm doing great. How are you? And then as soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, I don't have time. I literally don't have time to talk to her. Oh. She was like, great. Just to let you know, this call may be recorded. And I was like, oh my God, speed up. Let's go.
Man,
I need to tell you that actually I don't have time. And she goes through these like 3 paragraphs and there's finally a break. And I was just like, okay, I actually like, I don't have time to talk right now. Like, I'm so sorry. I need to go. She's like, oh, okay. Well, if you just have a couple minutes so that we can discuss your contact information. And I'm like, oh my, I just told you I can't talk.
Right. Oh my God.
Like I just said no.
Jesus Christ.
And so I just hung up.
Oh no.
And I feel so bad. But I was like, my doctor is going to call me at any second. And at the time, he wasn't listed in the system as my primary doctor. Mm-hmm. So I would have to wait another month or so to see him. And I had to see him to check up on my blood results and, you know, talk to him. It was an important visit. Yeah. And like talk to him about how my antidepressant is doing. And so I was like, I need to fucking go. And also like, it was right around the time that the locksmith was supposed to show up for you. And I was just like,
oh no. There are any number of important phone calls I could be getting right now.
Right. And that was the other thing. I was just like, this is either my doctor, it's my car insurance, trying to like get mad at me because I sent them to go deal with you. And then she's just like, "Hi, I'm super unimportant, and I'm gonna take up a lot of your time." And I was like,
Oh no. Just like, hey, you know, when you made a mistake.
"Right." I'm just like, when I said that I wanted more information, it meant that I wanted access to the PDF.
Right.
I didn't want you to call me.
I know. I didn't want a whole human to have to like take time out of their day.
Yeah, I was just like, I just wanted access to the PDF so I could see how much this would cost, so that I
Right.
could go, never mind.
I'm good.
Anyways, I was just like thinking about what we've done in the last week to talk about on the podcast, and I was like, oh, I can talk about that dumbass shit that Alex did.
Oh my god, right? For real. And then like right before the dude got there, it like started very lightly raining, and I was just like,
Yeah, and it was the first cold day that we had.
yeah, I was just like leaning up against the car, just like dissociating. Fucking people kept thinking,
I don't know where my water went.
it was only a couple of people.
I'll find it in a second.
Okay. It was only a couple of people, but a few people like thought that I worked there and were trying to find the ballot box to like do mail-in voting, and I was just like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just locked out of my car.
No.
I don't know. So,
Before we make this episode 5 hours long,
Oh,
we should
yeah.
probably get to it. Huh?
oh yeah, that's right. So basically, like with the election coming up or having passed, depending on when you're watching this episode, we kind of wanted to do something that was a little topical without being depressing. And so I was thinking about like all of the sort of little like different political parties that have existed in the US throughout history, and like all the different kind of like political figures that have been a little bit more niche, and just kind of like stuff that has happened, because you know when we think about like Democrats and Republicans and that's like it, but the two-party system hasn't always been the two-party system. It hasn't even always been the same two parties.
Right.
And like there's so many other little parties that just like don't get any attention. And initially I thought like, oh, wouldn't it be kind of fun to go through some of the like silly candidates and stuff that have been out there? But then I started to look at it and I was like, oh, actually that's like really interesting. Like,
Right.
you know, a lot of people like using humor to get attention.
Just like me.
Yeah, same. Just like us. And so we thought it would be interesting to kind of rank, do like a tier list of some of the more like interesting kind of minor political parties and political figures that I have found and kind of compiled some facts on.
Obsessively researched.
Obsessively researched. And here's the part where I'm just like, all right, so here's a grain of salt, you know, like I've mostly done things on like Wikipedia and the like source things that Wikipedia led to, and then like a little outside of Wikipedia. But like, if you're like a historian, you may get at me, but please be nice to me. I started to be like, don't at me, but then I'm like, no, I like to learn, but please good faith at me. If you're, I don't know, like into politics, good faith at me, unless you're conservative.
Yeah, if you're conservative, fuck you. Why are you listening to
Why are
this
you listening
podcast?
to this?
How did you find your way here?
How did you get here? But yeah, so second part of the little disclaimer is just that like, I guess I don't necessarily have to do this quite as much since I changed my original premise, but it's just like,
Oh, yeah.
some of these things I might be taking a little bit sillier than others, but that doesn't necessarily mean that like some of the stuff on this list doesn't have like really good points, or like, I don't know, isn't coming from a place where we should like treat it with respect. And like, I'm
Right.
somebody that I think that the two-party system should go.
A lot of things in our government should go.
Yeah.
But we do
But-
want to treat this with a little bit of silliness, because
Everything can be.
everything can be. And also, this episode's coming out November 2nd.
Exactly.
Election day is November 3rd.
Good Lord. you know?
There was no way for us to not do a political episode, but the point of this podcast is to bring laughter and joy and also, talk about shit that's really important, but in a way that is a little more lighthearted and fun and make it feel like we're just friends that are like hanging out and just,
Right.
Shooting shit, which is why it's called Ice Cream Parasocial.
Yeah.
We're
vibing.
right. We want to build a parasocial relationship. I know that can be taken in a really, really negative way.
Yeah.
But like, it's not like we can build a real relationship with the thousands of people that I would like to listen to this.
Right.
And there are like benefits to parasocial relationships. Obviously, it can get taken too far.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, it's
Like
a relationship. Anybody can be abused with any relationship. And so but also on the other hand, any relationship can be good. There can be boundaries. There can be, and so like, I knew that we would have to talk about politics because
What else?
we can't just sit and pretend that it's not happening.
Right. Exactly.
But also, there is a way to, joke about it and be lighthearted and have fun with it
yeah, definitely.
while still being like, this is what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
this is what's happening in our world,
Yeah. This is sort of a ranked choice ballot, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, basically just as a disclaimer, this isn't meant to be like, oh, can you believe how stupid third parties are?
Right.
This is just like this is just
Right.
a silly little break to
Well,
just sort of learn some stuff.
Yeah.
Also, I am not an authority on anything. This is
No, neither of us are authorities on shit.
ever. I am not an authority on my own name. Oh, Lord. But anyway, so the first one that is up on there is the United States Pirate Party. I'm sorry.
Is that Alf's political party?
It might be, actually.
That's a very,
Legitimately?
that's a very inside joke. We have a friend named Alf. Hi, Alf. I love you. I know you're listening.
I hope you're listening.
I hope you're watching. I miss you.
I love you, Alf.
Okay,
Anyway. Watch there be like a second Alf, like one of our 22 viewers. Is
hi,
like the
other Alf. I love you too.
You're great.
But
They're hate watching.
they're hate watching. I love you.
Anyway.
I love him anyways.
Yeah,
Shit.
thanks for the view.
Thanks for the view. But Alf moved to a different country, so we haven't seen him in a really long time. And he is very, very piratey. he's very piratey
As a person.
as a person.
Yeah. Yeah, just that vibe, honestly.
Just like imagine like a modern day pirate, and that's Alf.
And there he is,
A modern day pirate that like is very into board and video games
With swords and everything.
with swords and everything.
Oh, yeah. Ugh, miss that boy.
Alf. Okay, tell me about Alf's political party.
So, I'd kind of put something down in the second column as like, if I think they're kind of more left or right leaning, and this one sort of, on their website, they'd written kind of in a do what works sort of way, but they seem to be sort of like left libertarian seeming. Their kind of whole thing basically is based around, what do they call it? Like free sharing of media, pretty much.
Oh.
And like free culture, basically kind of like pirating shit. And also like going off of like literal pirate culture and talking about stuff like radical democracy is something that they were talking about, and like
Damn.
egalitarianism. Talking about like copyright reform, abolishing patents, which is something I didn't ever
Damn.
think about, but I think is very
Just
interesting.
everything's free.
Yeah, pretty much. anti-monopoly, which I think is
Damn.
fascinating, because a lot of the time when people are like really into free market shit, they're just like, yeah, whatever happens happens. But then being like, yeah, no, one company should be allowed to do like everything all the time, I think is very dope. Personally, they're very into like government transparency, kind of anti-corporate personhood, very much everything that you would think like a hacker political party would be like.
Damn.
They also do a lot of deliberate usage of humor, and they've been around since 2006.
Oh, so that's a really new one.
Yeah.
Damn, hell yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, if like half of their thing is specifically about pirating,
Right,
that
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, yeah, 2006 about makes sense.
Yeah. Damn.
Right?
Fuck yeah, pirate party.
For real.
What was it specifically called again?
United States Pirate Party.
Oh, okay, cool. Hell yeah, pirate party.
Right?
Damn. Oh, that's a hard.
I know. Because, like, I do really like what's there, but it's also a little bit loose.
Right.
Like, I do wish that there was, like, a little bit more, like, structure. But I like the, like, core ideals, it seems like.
I feel like I feel like that's an A. And also, if you're just listening, you can't see our tier list. It's S, A, B, C, D. So
Yeah.
S is the highest, A is the second, so on and so forth.
D is the lowest.
Yeah, D is the lowest.
Yes.
I think I'd say that they're A tier. I agree with a lot of the stuff that you said for that. But the patent thing I would need to know more about.
Right.
Just because I feel like if you invent a thing, it would really suck to then just have that be stolen. But I feel like they've
Right.
got
There's
probably more
like,
of an explanation for it about like how that would work.
Yeah, because like there's some instances in which I'm like, yeah, that could probably suck a lot. And
Right.
then there's some instances like with medicines where I'm just like, that could be pretty good
That is fair.
to be able
And-
to have like a generic available like more immediately.
Yeah, that is fair. And that is also the reason why GMOs actually suck,
True.
is because the seeds get patented or copyrighted or whatever bullshit.
And then like actual like smaller farmers just can't do shit with them.
Right. So, you know,
So
like
stupid.
if you were to start a farm today, you would buy seeds and then when you grew the fucking vegetable, those would produce more seeds and you'd never have to buy seeds again. With GMOs that are patented, you have to buy seeds every fucking year.
Which is so stupid. Like I'm just like,
Like-
how are you gonna patent a vegetable?
Right. How are you going to patent a fucking vegetable?
God. Like it so is one of those things where it's just like it's not inherently like worse for you, but it is just some
No,
capitalist bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, GMOs are fine. Your fucking dog's a GMO.
Oh yeah.
Like, fucking half of us are GMOs. Like,
oh yeah, like theoretically, like, you know, that could help
I'm a
with a lot
GMO.
of things.
you know?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I guess my genetics haven't been modified, but fucking everything else has.
Winston is definitely a GMO.
Winston is 100% GMO.
100% GMO.
And so it's like, GMOs aren't bad, but the capitalism that got applied to GMOs is very bad.
Yes.
So,
Like many
anyways,
things.
moving on to the next one.
The next one I thought was really interesting to find out was still around is the Prohibition Party.
Oh my god. Fucking for real?
Literally. It's the oldest existing third party in the US. It's been around since 1869.
Jesus.
Yes, that exact same Prohibition Party that had Prohibition happen.
And what do they fucking want?
First of all, I think this is really funny. I have to put it out there that on their website they call marijuana a hard drug. Like, I just need you to know that they still have the same views about alcohol and drugs, and then they're just like, yeah, recreational, like, hard drug use, like marijuana. Oh, goodness gracious. But it is really interesting with them, because I have mixed feelings. Because it very much is one of those things where they kind of are the version of, like, what I feel like Republicans would be if they were honest.
See, I was thinking that if we did an episode like this, it wouldn't just be us dunking on Republicans.
Sorry, it's just a different angle.
I don't know why I expected that we wouldn't. They're so easy to dunk on.
Right. And I feel like this is just one of those things where it's like, they're definitely a more conservative party, but I like them more than Republicans. So it's just like, I don't know.
Well, you haven't really said anything else, but, like, it sounds like they're a hell of a lot more honest.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Like, they're more honest.
Because that's a conversation that we've had before. It's just like, obviously, fucking, no matter what, I would have a problem with them. But, like, fuck, at least if they were honest.
Right. If they weren't lying about shit literally all of the time.
Right.
And just, like, being hypocritical and shit. Like,
Right.
You know? Like, for example, something that I thought was really interesting is that fucking... Like, an example of that is that, like, they're pro-life, which, like, fucking pro-choice all the way.
Right.
That is right, in my opinion. Hi, Rupert. Rupert says that he is pro-choice also. But it's really interesting because, like, on their website, when they talk about that, they talk about not just abortion, but they'll also talk about, like, how they don't like capital punishment and, like, animal cruelty and shit.
Oh my god.
And I forget if it's this political party, but I want to say it also had something to do with, like, the environment was another thing where it was just like, oh yeah, pro-life means, like, pro-life, like, all kinds of life.
Damn.
You know, where it's just like, if Republicans would actually back shit up with being
Right.
like, oh yeah, pro-life means, like, pro-life for, like, everybody.
Right.
Because I think, because another one that was really interesting was being like, oh, fucking marriages are defined by religion, not in a way of being like gay marriage shouldn't exist or gay marriages go against Christianity, but just vaguely being like marriage is a religious institution. So instead of saying we shouldn't provide gay marriages, the Prohibition Party posits that the state shouldn't provide marriages at all and should instead do civil unions for, like, tax benefit purposes and just let, like, religious organizations do marriages.
Okay.
Which I think is just so funny because it feels like very, like, I guess, man.
Right. Like, why? Though?
Like, it feels like if somebody was, like, having an argument with, like, I don't know, like, it feels like they were in, like, an argument with, like, a gay person online, and they were just like, yeah, well, I just am not comfortable with it, and it's just like, well, I'm not comfortable with straight marriage, and they're just like, you know what, actually, we can come to an agreement.
You make a good point.
You make a good point. They're like, what, really? Fuck, for real?
Rupert, do you have to be the center of attention every episode?
Yes. Actively?
Don't you swish your tail at me, young man.
He's just like, I know I got you, like, 18 likes on Instagram.
Okay.
Sir.
No, come on.
You little ham.
Oh, you can't be on the table right now.
And they have this, like, wild thing that's like, no one should have to work on the Sabbath day.
So just whatever their religion's, like, off day is.
It seems like it, yeah. Which is super wild. And they're also
Damn.
into, like, free college and shit. Like, it's one of those things where it's just like, they have some things where I'm just like, I can't really vibe with that. Like, about pro-life, like, that's kind of a deal breaker for me. But, like, a lot of the stuff, it's just like, it kind of feels like if somebody had a discussion, if, like, a conservative person, like, had a discussion with somebody on the other side and actually took some of their points to, like, consideration.
Right. Yeah, because it's just like, fuck pro-lifers, first of all, and whatever, because you should be able to do what you want with your own body.
Right, for
Like,
real.
We're not allowed to harvest someone's organs if they die
Right, without their consent.
without their
when
consent.
they're alive. So, like, how is that?
So why force somebody to do something when
Right.
they're alive and still using that fucking body? Anyways,
Literally.
but if you're gonna be pro-life, be pro-life.
Right.
Be pro Medicare for all, so that those babies can have health care, so that the moms can have health care.
Right.
Be pro free food for all children. Like,
Right, where it's just like, it is one of those things where it's just like, that's like the closest thing to a conservative that I think I could be friends with, maybe.
right.
Or at least like have dinner with and not want to pull my hair out.
right.
Like, it feels like the type of thing where it's like, we could get somewhere, maybe.
Maybe.
Which is so weird because when I read that it was like a political party that still existed, I was like, what kind of fucking weirdos are these gonna be? And then I'm just like,
right.
still pretty weird. Still don't
pretty
agree
weird.
with most of it, but like, honestly, way better than Republicans.
Also, just super quick, if you're watching the video, you just watched my arm freak the fuck out. That just happens sometimes. It's okay.
Yeah, it's just a fun little thing.
I get muscle spasms and twitches. I went to go and move the mouse so that I could drag the thing over and my arm went. My arm made an error sound. Okay, I'm fine.
I know it's rough because it's like,
I'm gonna say C,
yeah, I'd say C.
because at least they're like thorough.
Yeah, they're thorough and they have like some ideas, like, like access to education is important.
Right.
Like shit like that. I think it feels like something where their heart is in a place,
Right.
but it's like there's a lot of discussions, but also they've existed long enough to have the discussions.
Right. Absolutely.
But yeah, they're thorough. Yeah, I think C tier.
Cool.
So
What's
second
next?
to bottom because still conservative, but
Yeah, because still,
still not very good, but
still don't really trust anybody that calls weed a hard
I
drug.
know. Yeah, like I never thought that, like, I don't know, like as somebody that's like full ass like harm reduction treatment.
Yeah.
Like I like work for a place that has a syringe exchange.
Yeah.
Like I can't like put anything above like a C that would call weed a hard drug.
I'm just
But-
like, okay, well, like clearly you guys have never, ever used it. Because if you
know.
have, you know that that's just, I've taken muscle
not-
relaxers that are stronger.
Literally, it's not that wild.
I've taken Tylenol that's stronger. Shit. Like,
I know.
you take a Tylenol PM and that's basically weed.
Yeah, that really is basically weed. Oh goodness.
Anyways, what have we got next?
So this one didn't have a official logo
Oh,
that I could find. So, because it's the anti-Nebraska party, which existed for
fuck
less
you,
than a
Nebraska.
year.
That's going to S tier while I learn what it's about. Because fuck you, Nebraska.
Fuck you, Nebraska. Little background. I have an irrational hatred of Nebraska. I like don't know why. I think a lot of it is just that like when we were driving here from Indiana, like it was during the middle of fucking winter and like
Yeah.
Nebraska is just like it kind of was this awful combination of things where it's just very ugly. Sorry, I didn't mean that. I'm sorry if we have any Nebraskan listeners.
I mean, we don't right now.
We
but
don't now. But like it was very ugly in the middle of winter on the highway.
Yeah.
And also it was a hellscape to drive through.
Yeah.
Whereas like if it's like Utah or Wyoming, like it sucks to drive through, but it's like unique to look at.
Yeah.
It's like interesting. Or like, like Iowa, it's like pretty easy to drive through, but it's kind of like pretty samey scenery. But then like Nebraska, it's just like, why are the roads
Why are the roads?
Why are the roads?
That's so funny.
Anyway, and I've noticed that a lot of people feel the same way, apparently, because I, like, looked it up. I just looked up Nebraska first on Google Images because I was going to do, like, an edit, and then I found something that was, like, an article that was, like, 30 reasons to not go to Nebraska.
Oh
I was
my
like,
god.
fuck.
Anyways.
But the picture that I found was just, like, a shirt. It was just like,
Fuck Nebraska.
what does it say? I think it's like worst state ever or something
Yeah,
like
probably.
that. It's very good. But anyway, Anti-Nebraska Party, I wanted to put in here as soon as I found the name because it has that name and it existed from 1854 to 1854.
What happened in 1854?
They got a lot of shit done in 1854, though, coincidentally. Because what it was actually that they, like, opposed the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which, side note, I feel like it speaks to how much Nebraska sucks that they just left Kansas out of it. Kansas was the first name in the thing, and they were like, no, Kansas, you can go over here. Nebraska, we need to talk. But anyway, they were basically like anti the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which was something that was trying to repeal a ban on slavery in newly integrated territories into the United States. And Kansas and Nebraska were the new, like, territories. And there was, like, a agreement that, like, the United States government had, like, come to that was like, oh yeah, when we bring new territories in, they're not going to have slavery. Totally, dudes. And then, like, the Kansas-Nebraska Act was supposed to be like, except maybe, like, what if they made their own choice about it?
Fucking god.
And so, like, this whole, like, anti-Nebraska movement and anti-Nebraska party was born out of that.
Fuck you, Nebraska.
Fuck you, Nebraska. It was just like, you can't just, like, do that shit. So it was just basically people being like, we don't need more slavery in here. We need less. We're trying to get the slavery out of here, dipshit.
Oh my god. Anyways,
but yeah, and, like, they actually managed to make a good amount of political progress with that, it seems like, and then later on assimilated with a few other, like, little political parties at the time into like the old-timey Republican Party when they were cool, before the party switched pretty much. So I just thought that was, like, an interesting little piece of history that came out of me just being like, yeah, fuck Nebraska.
yeah, I'm gonna keep that in my S tier. I made the right choice with that.
Short, sweet, know what they came for.
Yeah.
Here for one fucking thing.
What's next?
Love it. Let's see. So, oh my god, the Natural Law Party.
Do you have some feelings about the Natural Law Party?
Yeah. So for what I put as their leaning, I wrote tool, face mask, libertarian.
What? Can you say that again, like, real clear?
Tool, face mask, libertarian, perhaps?
Tool, face mask, libertarian?
Yeah, like, you know that face mask that Lana Del Rey had? That everyone got mad at her for?
No, I never heard about that.
Like the Etsy masks and stuff that, like, people wear that are just mesh, basically.
Oh, tulle. Like,
yeah, like the
this
fabric.
Fabric.
Yeah, not like an object.
I was thinking like a fucking hammer.
Yeah, not like a hammer.
Like, what the fuck? Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Like that
so
kind of
that's
vein.
going in the D. I already know.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't need to know any more, but let's hear it just real quick. You've got 30 seconds. Tell me.
Transcendental meditation for preventative health care. Transcendental meditation for being racist. Which basically means that they don't believe in affirmative action. They just feel like if people meditate enough, then we won't need to, like, do, like, put equitable things into our systems. Limiting welfare.
No, fuck it. I don't need to know any
Transcendental
more.
for prison reform.
I don't need to know any more. What's next? Fuck these guys.
They ran from one quick thing, because I think you'll find it satisfying.
Okay.
In the United States, they existed from 1992 to 2004, but their website is still up. saying that you can like contact your representative, but then if you click on literally any of the states, you can't. It just takes you to like these like pages that are like, sorry, no representatives exist in this area. And then like in some of them, it'll take you to like a different website not related. Like there was like I clicked on the one to Indiana, for example, and it was like a law firm.
All right.
And it's just like, good.
The rest of the world said fuck them too.
Then perish.
Then perish.
Because it's like, I have nothing against meditation, but just being like...
It's not a fucking cure.
Right. Just this combination of being like, everybody just vibe for a little bit.
It's also not a cure for racism.
Right. Like, just reading out their, like, website, just being like, yeah, I think if everyone was just chill, we'd just be cool. And I'm just like that is not a plan.
Like, what are you supposed to do? Just fucking sit there and just be like, home, home, black people are people, home. Like, what?
I'm pretty sure I understand everything now. I have reformed my entire mindset.
Like,
I'm just like, okay. But yeah, so that's D tier. Let's see. Oh, the rent is too damn high part.
yes. Fucking S tier.
Oh my God.
I don't even need to S tier.
Love
The rent
this
is
bitch.
too damn high. The rent is too damn high.
is. This was actually the thing that inspired me to want to do this
Yeah.
whole list. Just because I was like thinking about like stuff we could do for this episode, and I was just like, you remember that
Just popped
guy?
my knuckle. I'm so sorry for the face that I just made, and I'm so sorry for the audio that might have just happened.
Oh no. But yeah, I was just like, you remember that guy? And then I was just like, I feel like I remember hearing about that guy actually being kind of cool. And then it was like, yeah, that guy was actually pretty cool.
So explain that guy for
Jimmy
people who don't know
McMillan.
who that guy is.
Jimmy McMillan, New York several-time mayoral candidate and one-time gubernatorial candidate.
Infamous boot is a hat wearer.
Oh no, that one's Vermin Supreme.
Oh, that one's Vermin Supreme. My bad.
I know.
I thought
Poor
that
Shane.
Vermin Supreme was the rent is too damn high guy.
No, Vermin Supreme comes later.
Okay.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Oh, now I see his picture. My bad.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go on.
But the rent is too damn high guy is Jimmy McMillan, and he had some very good facial hair, and his whole thing back in like the mid 2000s, I want to say, it was like just feeling like the rent is too damn high, and like there was a whole meme around it. I think there was like a whole song, and it was one of those things that was very much like another intentional use of humor, and something that was on the Wikipedia article that I couldn't find another source for was that like New York got mad at him, or not mad at him, but they like wouldn't print damn on the ballot. They was just like, the rent is too high, and he was just like, damn is part of it because the language is supposed to like shock you into noticing.
Yeah.
And that was something that was just like important.
God, I just had to like physically hold myself back from going on a rampage about protests. And I'm gonna continue to hold myself back a little bit,
Okay.
but I'm gonna talk about protests for a second
Okay.
because my fucking punk ass can't
time.
not talk about protests. Because I just, if you listen to this podcast, most likely you are one of my friends. So you already probably know how I feel. But if you listen to this podcast and you aren't one of my friends, I'm sorry for what I'm about to
sorry.
fucking... The way that we talk about protests now, and the way that we talk about how violent everything is now, is so fucking obscene. It's so obscene.
We've had so many conversations about this in this household.
I went off about it the other day.
Right?
But, like, it's... Protests now are no more violent than they were when the protests that we, like, angelize, I don't know what the word I'm looking for there is, but like, you know, we go back and we talk about Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and like, you know, and we're just like, wow, they were so great at peaceful protests. And, you know, even the 504 protest, the longest... This is what got me like going about it, was I was thinking about the 504 protest a couple days ago.
Oh my God.
If you don't know what the 504 protest is, what happened is hundreds of people with disabilities went and
occupied a government building.
Yeah, occupied a government building
For like over a month.
Yeah, yeah, it was over a month. I started to say that it was longer, but it was over a month. And to this day, it is still the longest occupancy of a government building that has happened as a protest. And we look at that and we say that it was peaceful. But then we look at protests that are happening now where traffic is blocked. We look at protests that are happening now where windows are getting bashed in at stores. And we're like, you know, that's just really like
Violent.
That's super violent and that's super annoying. It's supposed to be annoying.
Right. If
That's
it's
the
not
fucking
annoying,
point.
you don't notice.
If protests were just people standing on the corner with a sign and just like standing there being silent, hoping that you read their sign, you would ignore them just like you do the homeless people that sit there and ask you for money and ask you for help.
Right. And like even then, like sometimes people get all like fucked up about it.
Yeah.
Like, I remember a while ago, like back in June.
Right.
June, yes. There was like the tiniest little group of Black Lives Matter protesters out in like by one of the like PCC campuses,
Right.
by the transit center, when I was going to go get groceries, and I went and I think I got them like a first aid kit or some bottled water or both, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I was talking to them for a few minutes, and like fucking apparently some lady, like literally all they were doing is pretty much exactly what
Just
you
standing
said.
there with signs.
Yeah, just standing there with signs, essentially. And some lady had like tried to hit one of them earlier. And I'm just like, people are so fucking...
But they're the ones that are being violent and
they're super
aggressive.
violent.
Like, protests are supposed to make you uncomfortable. Protests are supposed to make you realize how fucking terrible shit is. Like, just like, what's live art performances? What are those called?
Performance art?
Yeah, I'm like, what's that called when, like...
When you perform art?
Performance art. You know, people are like, it's weird, it makes me uncomfortable. It's fucking supposed to.
Yeah, that's performance art, man.
Because, you know, when you get stopped, when traffic gets stopped and you're on your way to work because a protest is happening, it's going to make you notice it. It's going to piss you off. And hopefully it'll piss you off enough that you want people to stop protesting about this stupid ass thing. So you contact your legislation and tell them to change the fucking rules.
Right.
Because you don't want to be late to work anymore.
Fair enough.
Like, that's...
Right. If nothing else.
You know, like, we fucking sit here and we're like, oh, Abraham Lincoln ended slavery just because he was like a good white dude. No, he did it because people were protesting, and enough people got pissed off that people were protesting, and enough people protested that he realized he was going to lose his job or his life if he didn't change something. So he ended slavery.
Right.
And it just fucking people being like, violence isn't the answer. Like, it's not working. It is. You know, cops now, more people are fucking anti-cop. 10 years ago, if people had been talking about defunding the police force, that conversation would be going nowhere. But now that's a genuine, like, political idea. And that's something that a lot of people are like, oh, you know what? Actually, let's think about that.
Right,
You know,
for sure.
20 years ago, putting cameras on police would have been like, oh, no. But now a lot of them do. A lot
like
of them
standard.
fucking turn them off.
Yeah.
Which is just like, if you turn your body cam off, you should immediately be fired.
Right. Like, what the fuck? What are you doing
Like,
that for?
I'm sorry, but if my ass that, like, worked in retail
Right. if
had
I
to
have
have
to get
20 cameras on me at all times, you can deal
carry a
with
gun.
one while you're carrying a gun.
right.
Like, it's one of those things that fucking pro-cop people are always like, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, then why does it bother you? If you're not doing anything wrong, why does it bother you that you've got a camera on?
Right, literally.
Why does it bother you that you're being watched?
Right.
Anyways, sometimes politics are supposed to piss you off so that you notice and change things. The rent is too damn high. It needs the damn. Protests are important. I'm moving on now.
Hell yeah. But yeah, so like on their platform. But basically a lot of their shit, love it so much, is basically about like it's very similar to a lot of like Bernie shit, but just kind of like even weirder old man sounding. Like just sort of talking in 2010 in the presidential debate, or not presidential debate, in like debates about same-sex marriage. If you want to marry a shoe, I'll marry you, was the quote.
That's why I thought that he was the shoe guy.
Yes, there was shoe.
There was a shoe.
There is a shoe. And like wanting to seize up unoccupied apartment buildings in New York to like actually like get housing to people, putting more of a tax burden on employers instead of on homeowners. Jesus Christ. And like also being pro like free college.
Hell yeah.
Something that I thought was really interesting that kind of made my whole body tense up at first, and then I was like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. Was talking about like family values, but then it was just like family values in the sense of like a parent, not specifying mother or father or just parent in general, but just like a parent should be able to stay home with the kids if they want to. So basically ensuring the economic stability to do so. And I'm just like, actually, I can kind of get behind that. That should be allowed.
Right.
Like parents should be able to like parent their kids and like stay at home if that's what they want to do.
Parents should be allowed to be parents.
Parents should be allowed to be parents. I can get on board with that. And, yeah, so that was going from like 2005 to about 2015. I've seen some kind of back and forth stuff on whether or not it's still going, but the number that I saw the most often was like 2015 is about like when it kind of seemed to like peter out. But
cool.
Yeah, it was just super interesting to see this whole like actually like thought out platform for this thing that was kind of like a meme when I was in like middle school,
right?
And just being like, oh, this dude is actually some good thoughts.
Actually dope as fuck, dude.
Good thoughts. Plus of just like being pro same-sex marriage, like fucking so many candidates like just were afraid to say that shit outright. Like not everyone, but like I remember a lot of people being like, I don't know, maybe not, whatever.
Like as you know,
just whatever.
Like, we believe that people are people, and
no
that's
matter
it.
How small.
Anyways, are we ready for the next one?
Yes.
What are we going to next?
Vermin Supreme.
Vermin Supreme. Dope ass dude, hopefully. Let's see.
We'll find out. He's sort of like I saw a lot of words thrown around. Sort of like social anarchist.
All right.
But sort of in the Libertarian Party, but like also more anarchist. It sort of seemed to be one of those things where it's like you just kind of fall into whatever larger party will accept you.
Yeah.
From what I was looking at.
Okay.
Kind of like how AOC is a Democrat TM.
Right.
You know. But anyway. And he is the boot on head man who carries around
boot on head man
who carries around a toothbrush.
I didn't know about the toothbrush.
And wants a pony for everyone.
Oh, fuck yeah. All right, he's going at least B tier.
He believes a lot in mutual aid, standing against the police state,
Okay.
defending every person's right to engage in any activity that is peaceful and honest,
Okay.
repeal laws that create crimes without victims, like consensual sex work, recreational drugs, etc.
Okay.
And like less taxes. So I feel like A or B tier. Because, like, it's one of those things where I'm, like, a little bit, sorry for the knuckle crack into the microphone, where I'm, like, a little bit more on the side of, like, I feel like we need taxes for stuff.
Oh, yeah, my brain totally skipped over you talking about taxes.
But everything else I'm pretty on board with, so I feel like B tier personally.
Yeah, he's B. What we got next?
All right. And then the second one, I'm saving the best for last.
Oh, okay.
People's Party Utah.
Okay.
The party is conservative Mormonism.
I'm just gonna preemptively plop them in the D tier.
They existed from 1870 to 1891, and
Okay.
The distinctive characteristics that I wrote down were big Mormon. The platform I wrote down was very Mormon.
That's fair.
It was interesting because they like never lost a statewide election because it was Utah.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it's really weird because I couldn't find much out about their like actual beliefs except that they were Mormon and that they liked women's suffrage.
Wait, that doesn't...
Yeah, like I'm just very confused by this combination of things.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
I'm just like, they very much wanted voting rights for women. They were very into that.
But why? Is it Mormonism, like, anti-women's rights?
I don't know.
Or is that some shit that I made up? Is that just some shit that I assumed? Because I mostly see women and AFAB people talking about leaving the Mormon church. That might just be something that I made up. But, like...
It feels like I'm like feeling like that meme. It's just like I don't know enough about stars to but I don't know enough about stars to say no. Yeah, I'm not totally sure.
I guess, dog, whatevs.
Like it's one of those things where it's like the things that I learned about them are that it was like the People's Party and the Liberal Party, and those were the two big parties. And the People's Party was the one that was like very into suffrage. And they were very Mormon,
Okay.
and they never lost an election in the like 21 years that they existed.
Okay.
Those are the things I know about them.
All right, yeah. No, they're going in D tier. I stand by that
There.
choice. Fuck
That's
them.
fair. Like, thanks for women's rights, I guess, but also,
But fuck everything else.
I don't know enough else to say anything about you. I'm sorry.
Right.
Long dead People's Party.
All right, what's our last one?
People's Party, parentheses, 1971.
Oh, okay.
Which
This is the cool one.
This is the cool one.
All
This
right.
one's my favorite.
I'm just gonna preemptively throw it in A tier at minimum.
Oh, yeah. Because this was sort of like a democratic socialist party.
I'm just gonna pop that up to S tier. Moving on.
They existed from 1971 to 1977. Their platform that they were running on was stuff like free healthcare, legal abortion, legal marijuana, guaranteed minimum and maximum wage, withdrawal of American troops from all other countries, like tolerance of homosexuality for the 70s.
I mean, yeah, for the 70s, that's about all we can fucking ask for.
Right. And like It was so interesting because the fucking presidential candidates are probably my favorite presidential candidates, so I wish I could go back in time and vote for them. I'm just like, God damn.
Right.
Fucking wish. Because this sort of came about as being especially like anti-war because the Vietnam War was going on at the time. And running for president was sort of part of like getting that message out as well.
Right.
And the first person that ran for president then ran as vice president in the second time. And that was Dr. Benjamin Spock, who wrote the Baby Book, like the series of baby books, the like Dr. Spock's Baby Book, that like pretty much every parent went off of at the time, and I think a lot of parents still go off of. Like, it's a lot of pediatrician clout. It was super interesting because like he in his later years got really into like veganism and was like kids should be on a vegan diet after a certain age and shit, and just like I don't know, it was super interesting. And then his running mate, who was running for president the second time, coolest person, was Margaret Wright, who was a feminist and a black activist, like union organizer, former minister of education in the Black Panther Party, and grandma.
And grandma.
Grandma.
That's right, because you told me, I forgot about the grandma part. Her, like, half of her running, like, not slogans, but, like, her, like...
When newspapers would talk about her, they'd be like, Grandma throws bonnet into ring.
And didn't she go to jail?
Yeah, she got arrested for, like, protesting or something, and her grandkids were, like, outside of the prison with buttons that said, Free Grandma.
Oh, my God.
And I'm just like, oh, my God, I love her. I love her so much. And, like, I don't know, just, like, you'd, like, read little, like, newspaper articles that had, like, quotes from her, and I'm just like, she sounds so cool and smart. And it's just like seeing like these pictures of like her next to like Dr. Spock and everything, and they're just like fucking, you know, like out there doing their shit. I'm just like, God, that's so cool. And this was happening in like the 70s, and just nobody ever fucking hears about it. And like, yeah, it was small, but they were like on the ballot. Like there's little buttons. And, like, I made the button the thing because I liked the button and I want the button.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, people act like democratic socialism and, you know, these more progressive ideals and PC culture just popped up. And it's like, no, it's been around.
Right.
But it's more popular now because of the internet, and you see it more because of the internet, because more people, like, because you can't just fucking change the channel, you know? Like, yeah.
Exactly.
These kind of ideals have always been around.
Right. It's just, like, so cool to look at and just, like, have it be, like, right there. And I'm just like, God, I love this. I wish I could vote for you. You're so cool.
I wish that I could time travel just so I could do that,
and then just
pop right back, because I would not want to be queer in the 70s.
Right, because oh boy. Uh-oh.
But yeah.
So that was the cooler People's Party.
Hell yeah. The good People's Party.
The good
and
People's
the bad.
Party.
The People's Party and the Shadow People's Party.
Right. Like, I just thought it was so funny that I found two distinct People's Parties where one of them was, like, super vague and, like, I don't like them very much.
That's
and
so
the
funny.
other one was just like, God, this is so cool. How did I never know about this?
All right. Well, that was our tier ranking of
niche political
parties. I need to use the bathroom, and I don't want this to be any longer, so we will see you next week. Go vote. Please, for the love of fuck, if you haven't voted yet, do it. Please go out tomorrow. If you're listening to this the day it comes out, please vote.
Please vote.
Please vote. It's so important. Even if you hate the presidential candidates, that is not the only question on the ballot. It's not. Like, there will be a question on there that you give a shit about.
Right.
Answer all of the questions, or else your ballot will be thrown out. But
right, like whether it's even just like a statewide measure or something, like in Oregon, there's the dopest thing right now where it's like Measure 110 about like decriminalizing pretty much like every drug in like a recreational amount,
Right.
so that people aren't going to prison for stupid shit.
Right, and so that they can get the help that they need, and
like,
not just get fucking thrown into jail for the rest of their life.
Yeah, and like redirecting those funds towards treatment programs.
Right.
And it's like, you know, that's the type of stuff where it's like, if you didn't go to vote, then like you wouldn't see it. And, you know, like even
Right.
being able to like swing Congress,
Right.
and like
Which is very important.
make Congress go blue, which
Right.
actually makes stuff happen.
Right.
Go vote.
Go vote.
Go do
we'll
it.
see you
can get a
next
cool
week after
sticker
you voted.
sometimes.
So what'd you say? Sorry.
You can get a cool sticker sometimes.
Hell yeah. All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
See you next week.
See you next week.